Joshua Van is one of my favorite fighters. I think everybody knows that. I think that he is a lot of people's favorite fighters right now. And he's coming off a big win against Bruno Silva at UFC 316, and he's back immediately. You see on the right, Full Violence posted this. I think Royval Van himself confirmed it as well. He's going to be fighting Brandon Royval at UFC 317 because Cop has a broken foot. Now, I just want to take this time to kind of recap Joshua Van's career and kind of discuss him as a fighter. So let's get straight into it. So he made his debut against this dude. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce his name. And he's very, very young. I think he was 21 here. Um, Throughout his UFC career, he's been very, very active. You'll see he's made his debut June 24th, and he was immediately looking for a fight August 8th, which got canceled. Um, I don't know why it says contender series. That's kind of weird. He ended up fighting Kevin Borjas later in November, and he fought again in January. That's a 2 month split, and you can see on Tapology he's been looking for a fight since that January, and he had to wait until July 13th to get a Charles Johnson fight, which he lost. Right? He was doing decent in that fight, and he kind of got outranged, and he just couldn't be as comfortable and do his usual thing and eventually got knocked out. After this fight, he came back immediately after 2 months later to fight at the Sphere card. This is crazy. How do you, this is like Volk level of activity. This is like Marab level of like Kevin Holland level of activity. Like you should not be coming back from a KO loss where you're flat on your back, chinned in 2 months. So this means that he got chinned, waited 1 week, and was back in the gym sparring again. Like that's ridiculous. He ended up winning the Edgar Shires fight, but it was shaky in moments. Edgar Shires was landing some shots on him and hurting Joshua Van. And I feel like since then he's looked kind of chinny. It just feels like he don't got the best durability in this division, right? But obviously, back to his activity. Less than 3 months later, he's back against Cody Durden with another win, and then another 3 months he's back against Ray Cerugia, and then another 3 months. Bro speed running CTE. Like genuinely, I am very worried about him because I feel like this could be one of those cases where you just burn everything, you burn fast and you die fast. You kind of you kind of get on with your career too fast, and then by 27 he's fucking tired of this shit. He doesn't have it anymore. Like a Kevin Lee, or he just has accumulated too much damage where he's fucking punch drunk at 30. Like I don't want that to happen to Joshua Van. I think, and I don't know who told him to take this next fight right here. Um, but yeah, I don't think Royval is a good opponent to get for him, right? I was kind of rewatching Van versus Charles Johnson, and here's some things I took away, right? First of all, as much as I love Joshua Van, he's a short king, right? 5'5", 65-inch reach, okay? And in this Johnson fight, who has a very similar build and kind of is kind of a similar matchup to Brandon Royval, he struggled with the range. He looked a little hesitant on the feet, and he couldn't apply that forward pressure that he likes to do, where he's just walking at you with his guard up, boxing you up. He couldn't really do that against Johnson. Johnson was doing a great job just circling, keeping Van away with his jab, with his body kicks, with some spinning attacks. And when Van would come in, he would duck into the clinch, push him up against the fence, and then move off and just reset. Johnson, he mixed it up really well, and eventually he got the knockout, right? And look, I'm not gonna tell you that Van is chinny, but he did get that touched by Johnson, who does have decent power in the flyweight division and gets smoked. I feel like that might not be too much of a concern against Royval, but there are similar weapons that Royval can use to knock out Van with, like that knee up the middle, stuff like that. With this matchup, like it's short notice as well, and Royval has a really good jab, and he's good at distance management. I feel like Van isn't gonna knock out Royval like in a 3 rounder. I don't like. I know that 3 rounder kind of benefits Van, but I just don't see how he's gonna win this fight. Like I feel like Royval is just gonna be able to pit pat at him at range and just land on him and put a lot of volume. And I feel like when it's time for Van to land, he's not gonna have enough pop to kind of change the momentum of the fight. I feel like he's now moving into the part of the division where these guys are really tough. Where you have the Royvals, the Morenos, the Pantosias, um, like the Steve Ursegs, like the Manel Caps. These guys that are really tough, that are hard to put away. I feel like Van isn't gonna be able to abuse his game as well, even though he's not a KO artist. I feel like his game, Royval, with his physical attributes and his activity, his volume, his gas tank, and his experience, is just gonna do it better. I could see Royval finishing Van here. And I feel like even if Van wins this fight, it's bad for him because if he wins this fight, he's getting Pantoja next, right? I feel like he's not beating Pantoja. Um, and then you're in a murderer's row where you're not necessarily ready and you're very young. Um, like I don't know why they keep doing this with the flyweights, man. They keep rushing them, keep pushing them up the division. I know it's because it's fucking the division is kind of bare, but damn, bro, you gotta let your prospects develop. Like you can't just throw Steve Urseg into a title fight and then give him Kai Kara France and Brandon Moreno right after. Like you gotta give him, you gotta build them up. Um, I understand that flyweights kind of bare and Pantoja just kind of has his way with the division, but like, damn, give these guys room to breathe. Like Van, like I'm sure he's not making that much money. I'm sure he could get paid more. I'm sure that's like the money is the reason why he keeps fighting, and also because he's young, But damn, I just don't like this type of decision making for Van. I don't think his team is like being smart with him. Like I understand being delusional, but like fighting and then 3 weeks later fighting number one guy in the division, like I don't see it. I really don't see it. For this fight, early prediction, I'm gonna go Royval by decision. But yeah, man, that's kind of my little rant on Joshua Van. Let me know what y'all think. Hope y'all enjoy. I'll see y'all at the next one.